Welcome back to CTV Morning Live. Time for Ask the Expert with our friends from Recycle Frog. Listen, if you got a question, good time to ask it. Get us some free advice. 613-789-6559, extension 2803. Email ottawa.morning@ctv.ca. You can even ask us a question on Facebook. Whatever the venue, make sure you just ask the question. Hello, David Martinek. How are you?
Good to see you, sir.
What's going on? Lots going on with Recycle Frog these days?
Always lots going on, but you actually touched on a very important point that I want to expand on. Free advice. What I want people to consider is what we do is really free advice. You can choose to accept our purchase offer for the old gold and silver things that you choose or may not want to sell, but ultimately it is free advice, and we're just going to tell you what it's worth, and if you want to accept the offer, we'll do it.
Well, in the end, it's anybody's choice to sell or not to sell.
It is.
Which is great. And to me, it's more than just free advice, actually. It's a money-making sort of proposition that you offer.
It is.
Obviously, you've got to make a profit on it, but it's really not at the seller's expense, if you ask me.
Well, you know, one of the things that people ask us all the time is, how do we stay in business? Are we making so much money that, you know, it's at the expense of the customer? And the reality is, since the day we started the business, coming up on 5 years in March 8th actually, we simply set out to be hyper competitive in the industry. We looked at what was happening in the industry, and if people think back 5 years ago, you had cash for gold, mail away your gold companies, and we
still see them on TV with these.
You do, not as much though, not as much.
No.
They've moved into the malls. And
makes you laugh when you see them.
You laugh now because you're a much more savvy consumer. Back then, you didn't have a lot of options. You had pawn shops and you had these mail-away companies, and those were really your two options if you were even considering selling your old, you know, coins and you know, the old Olympic coin sets and jewelry and things like that. So you didn't have a lot of opportunity to think about where to go. When we came into the marketplace, we decided, you know what, there had to be a more intelligent alternative to those options. So we introduced our service, and it's kind of gotten off the ground and has been flying ever since.
Okay, who are your competitors at this point then?
Sure. You know, I would say go into the mall and you'll see these temporary kiosks. I wrote an article last year and I talked about how the mail-away companies have moved into the mall. So from the mail to the mall, they've set up these temporary kiosks, and they're sort of approaching you as you're walking by and doing your regular shopping. I would say they're out there. The traveling road shows from the Toronto and Montreal area, they come in and out. And then there are some local.
They're still doing that?
They still are. They don't come in as much. They know this is our territory now.
They put a big full-page ad in the paper. I always notice that.
They do. They do. So their advertising is fantastic. They're advertising that they want to buy everything under the sun.
Well, watches, gold, jewelry, what have you, right?
And they will buy it. They tend to buy it for pennies on the dollar. They're really wanting to get this stuff. You know, your old, you know, bangles and things like that. That's what they want to really get their hands on. The reality is, I mean, it's up to the consumer. You should be doing your due diligence, whether you're coming to see Recycle Frog or you're going anywhere else. But do your due diligence, ask some pretty savvy questions, and just ask questions in general. And that alone is going to set the consumer apart. It means you've done a little bit of research, you're challenging the gold buyer, and really it's in your best interest to do that.
Seems to me, David, it's not difficult to do research on companies right now.
No, not on the internet.
You know, not with the Google machine and all that sort of thing.
Well, there's the Google machine, and for those that aren't even comfortable on the internet, just flip open your yellow pages and call those people. And you know, to me it's astounding because I constantly call my competition. I'm a ghost shopper. I'll send ghost shoppers out, or I'll actually call around myself because I want to see how they respond, whether they're even answering the phone. And that's what's amazing to me is a lot of times they don't even answer the phone.
Really?
You leave a voicemail message and you if ever hear
back. What are they
from
doing?
Well,
counting their money.
They're counting their money, or they're pretending to be something that they're not. They're wanting to appear as though they're a legitimate company that's, you know, going to do well by the consumer, and so they've got a phone number and they've got their website. The reality is, you call call Recycle Frog, you'll see instantly we're responding to you. I'm always shocked at how many times I hear people say, "Oh, thanks for getting back to me so fast." We have a policy at the company that within normal business hours, if we haven't gotten back to you in 2 hours, we've done something wrong. We're failing. So whether it's by email or whether it's by phone or telepathically, whatever it is, we're doing our best to get back to the customer with and respond to their questions.
Right. I think it's, you know, if I'm not mistaken, it's one of the reasons why you set up this business is there was just basically no avenue for people to actually
Absolutely. You know,
get rid of some of the items that they've been holding on to and recycle at the same time and
That's
get
right.
fair value for their items.
At the end of the day, we just want it to be fair with the customer. So yes, we're competitive. In fact, we're at the top end of the range, but we always wanted to be competitive. We always wanted to be fair. And what we did that was very different than anybody else was we made it a very transparent experience, from having the scales directly in front of you so you can see them. And they're, of course, they're government certified scales, but they're right in front of you. The testing equipment, I think, is what's really truly unique about us as well. Is this basically tests everything, again, right in front of the person as far as you are away from me, and we're going to show you exactly what we see.
Okay.
So there's nothing arbitrary about it. There's no little acid test.
We'll take a break. When we come back, maybe we'll get a chance to show how that works.
Sure.
I mean, nobody's really clear on, if they have jewelry at home.
Right.
They might be wearing it right now and not really clear on how much, how many carats it is or what it's worth.
That's right, or even if it's gold at all.
Exactly, and I mean, who knows, really, unless you're, savvy in that sort of thing.
Yep.
Listen, here's your opportunity to ask David some pointed questions. Feel free to ask what you like. 613-789-6559, extension 2803. You can email questions at ottawa.morning@ctv.ca, Facebook questions as well. Get those questions in and we'll be back with more of Ask the Expert with Recycle Frog right after this.